Ooh, lovely. Cicatronics. Hi and welcome to the first in a series of videos where I'll be exploring anything and everything about the universe of sprinting. So this will include things like the athletics track and the various different types of track, sprinting equipment like blocks and spikes, sprinting terminologies, timing and photo finish, sprinting mechanics, energy systems, supplements used, and so on and so forth. So this will be a great opportunity to get feedback from you guys about the kind of things you might want me to cover, as inevitably I won't be able to think of them all. So the first topic that I'll be covering today will be about the athletics track and the various different types of track. So without further hesitation of the nation, let's get to the manifestation of the video. There are two types of athletics track. There's the outdoor 400-metre oval track that you're most likely familiar with. Then there's the indoor 200-metre oval track. Now, apart from the fact, as the name implies, one is an outdoor track that's 400 metres long and the other is an indoor track at 200 metres long, there are a number of key differences and similarities between them, and we'll be going through the key points in this video. The outdoor track season uses the outdoor track, surprise surprise, and is run in the spring and summer months. Usually in the UK this is between April through to September, whilst the indoor track season using the indoor track is run in the winter months, usually in the UK between January through to March, although there are events that happen in November and December. Now this is in the UK, Northern Hemisphere. Now in the Southern Hemisphere, like places like Australia, obviously the seasons are quite different, so I'll be interested to know what that's like, and even more confusing, what is it like in the equator? So anyone who's actually living in the equator or in the Southern Hemisphere, it'll be interesting to know when your seasons are. The events of the 400-metre oval track include the 100 metres, which is run on the straight of the 400-metre oval track, the 200 metres, which is half a lap of the 400-metre oval track and is run from the final bend from the start and finish line, the 400 metres, which is one complete lap of the 400-metre oval track, and to a lesser extent the 300 metres, which is usually run by masters athletes like myself who are aged 35 and above, and also younger athletes. For the 200-metre indoor track, we don't have 100 metres, and that's because the track is not long enough to accommodate 100 metres, and as such it's replaced with the 60 metres. The 60 metres is held inside the middle of the oval track, and that's a infield 60-metre straight. We also have the 200 metres, and that's one complete lap of the indoor track. Then the 400 metres, which is 2 laps of the indoor track, where the first lap is covered in the lane that you're assigned until you reach the braking line. And when the athletes reach the braking line, they all then slowly merge into lane 1, where they cover the second lap in lane 1, unless they're trying to overtake someone ahead of them. We also have, to a lesser extent, the 300 metres, which is, as I said before, run by masters athletes like myself, or younger athletes, or in open competitions. Weather conditions can play an important factor in the outdoor track, and this is because you're exposed to the elements of earth, wind and fire. Rain, heat, wind, where wind speed being the important factor, because a positive wind speed will assist an athlete, whilst a negative wind speed, a headwind, will hinder an athlete. There is a legal limit to how much wind assistance an athlete can have, that is plus 2.0 meters per second. Anything greater than 2.0 meters per second will not be classified as legal time and will not count as an official record. Now, wind speed is measured using a wind gauge which is placed 50 meters from the finish line, and it measures the wind speed over a period of 10 seconds and it averages it. Now, wind speed is not always used in local competitions like club comps, but it is used in major events. Now, this only affects the 100 meters and the 200 meters. And this is because for the 400 meters and even the 300 meters, any gains you got in the first half of the race is cancelled in the second half of the race, and vice versa. The standard 400-metre outdoor track, as defined by World Athletics, can be 8 lanes, 6 lanes, or even 4 lanes, although 4 is not used in international competition. 9 is the maximum number of lanes that you can have, because anything above 9 will be deemed too much an advantage over the inside lane. For the 200-metre indoor track, the oval track can be between 4 to 6 lanes, whilst the 60-metre infield straight is a minimum of 6 lanes, although it's preferable for it to be 8 lanes or more. The design of the outdoor track is quite different to the design of the indoor track. Now, apart from the fact that the outdoor track is twice the size of the indoor track, there are a number of other key differences between them. So let's start off by looking at the 400-metre standard outdoor track. This is a flat track and consists of 2 straights and 2 bends that are semicircles. That is, the bend has a single radius. That's the constant radius all the way across the bend. There are exceptions, but the vast majority of tracks are like this. The indoor track, because it's half the size of the outdoor track, the bends are much tighter, and as such this introduces a couple of problems. The first is the athlete's passage from the straight into the bend is too abrupt, and as such they need to slow down. And once the athlete is in the bend, how do they maintain staying in lane? They'd either have to slow down, otherwise they'd head off the lane that they're in, or even go off the track. So how do they tackle these issues? Well, the indoor track no longer has a single radius, because the entry and exit to the indoor track has more than 1 radius. Now, once you're in the actual bend itself, that has a single radius. So this helps smooth the passage from the straight into the bend. Once the athlete is in the bend, how do they maintain staying in that lane at speed? What they actually do is they bank the bends. So the bends on the indoor athletics track are at an angle. So this helps facilitate the necessary forces to keep the athlete in lane at speed. Now this is to do with centripetal forces or centrifugal forces, if you want to call it. The point is, these 2 key points help smooth the athlete's passage from the straight into the bend, and once they're in the bend, it keeps them in lane at speed. Clear as mud? Now, the outdoor track is quicker than the indoor track under ideal conditions, but that's because the bends on the outdoor track are not as tight as they are on the indoor track, and also the number of bends on the outdoor track is half the number of bends on the indoor track for the 200 and 400 metre events. Now, typically I've seen figures between 0.3 seconds to 0.6 seconds quicker the outdoor track is to the indoor track per 200 metres, but that will depend from athlete to athlete, how quick they are, how professional they are, and so on and so forth. But generally, the outdoor track under ideal conditions is quicker than the indoor track. So here's a summary highlighting the key differences between the outdoor track and the indoor track. Now, this concludes this video on the different types of athletics track. Now, I've gone through the standard outdoor and standard indoor track as defined by the World Athletics. I've gone through the major points. There are variations on those tracks that I haven't really talked about, and there's also variations on indoor and outdoor tracks outside the World Athletics spec, but it's not in the scope of this video. There's lots of other points that I could have gone through. I mean, this video I tried to do a year ago and it was about 22 minutes long, so really I tried to make it as short as possible and fill as many details as I could. In any case, I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something from it, and until next time, thank you for watching.